welcome to News9 Live. Today we have with us the founder and executive vice chairman of InfoEdge, Mr. Sanjeev Bikhchandani. Thank you for being on the show, sir.
Thank you for inviting me.
My first question is a broad one. There are dwindling valuations when it comes to the startup space, be it what is in the news these days, Byju's, Swiggy. What is ailing valuations?
Look, when you look at public markets and you see the prices of shares, they go up and they go down, depending on company performance, depending on liquidity in the market, depending on market sentiment, and so on. Private markets are not published every day, the valuations, but the valuations there also are capable of moving up and down on the same parameters: company performance, availability of capital, liquidity, and so that's fine. It's a natural part of the market.
So moving on, one of the reasons that is things that is ailing startups is corporate governance issues, be it Go Mechanic, Mojo Care, Byju's. What is your take on this?
I think corporate governance sometimes is a matter of concern in some companies, and really I think the buck stops with the founders and the management, because they are in the company 24/7 and they have been through their sins of omission or commission, responsible for lack of great governance. But I must emphasize that while a few companies and a few founders may be like this, I think the vast majority are all right.
With respect to these specific three, because they are in the news these days, Byju's, Go Mechanic and Mojo Care, what do you think went wrong?
I'm not in a position to say because we are not invested in any of these companies, so I really do not know what's going on inside. But I think things will emerge. Just wait and see what happens.
You've already answered part of it, but I'll just say, how much responsibility of corporate governance rests with founders and how much with the venture capitalists?
I would say the vast bulk of it is with the founders, because they are 24/7 in the company. Independent directors, auditors, investors, they are not in the company 24/7. They rely on what the management tells them, right? If you're not in the company 24/7, you don't know exactly what's going on.
Do you think that needs to change?
Well, they can't be in the company 24/7. Then they're not investors, they're founders themselves.
What we have seen in the startup space is that there's a hunger to acquire, and then there's a hunger to acquire customers by burning cash with the hope that the profits will follow. What's the right approach according to you?
Well, if you are valuation driven and your valuation is based on your sales and top line and not on your profit, right, you will tend to spend a lot of money just to acquire customers and to get sales, never mind profits. Especially if you have competition that is well funded and doing the same thing, right? But all this works when there's excess liquidity in the market. When liquidity gets constrained, as it is now, people come back to prudent commercial practices, and that's what is happening, right? You are now looking at unit economics. You're looking at EBITDA. You're looking at profits. You're looking at cash flows. These are all good, sound, sensible metrics to look at, and I'm glad that the market has now shifted to this.
Do you think it's cyclical?
It is cyclical. Tomorrow, if there's excess liquidity, I'm sure some of this stuff will be repeated again, but I don't think that's happening for at least a while.
Now we'll come to certain specifics where you have also made some investments. So there are three names that are doing the rounds these days in popular debate, and we call them poster boys of controversy: Ashneer Grover, Baiju Ravindran and Rahul Yadav. Why did you decide to invest in Mr. Rahul Yadav's company, and what went wrong?
I'm not really allowed to talk about it because we have initiated a forensic audit, and I'll have to wait for the results of the audit before commenting.
Going on from this, Mr. Rahul Yadav had a checkered history with his housing.com experience. What made you think that he has turned a leaf?
Well, I think that was 10 years ago, and what we felt was everybody in life deserves a second chance.
Do you think you stand corrected today?
We'll have to wait for the forensic audit results to comment on that.
Okay, sir. Swiggy's food business has turned profitable, yet their valuations are low. How do you see this relationship in the case of Swiggy?
Market is down, right? Market valuations are down. If you look at where tech valuations were 2 years ago in the US and in India, and compare them to today, the market is down. So this is part of that.
There's a competitor to Swiggy, that is Zomato. Now, in a comparison, do you think listing was a logical thing to have gone ahead with in the case of Zomato?
Oh, absolutely. It was absolutely the right thing to do. It has put the company in a different strategic space, given it perpetual access to capital. It is imposed a fiscal discipline, which only public markets can do. And I think Zomato did very well to list the company.
So, do you feel that listing is a good approach when it comes to startups once they have breached a certain threshold?
It depends. I mean, it's different for different companies. If you are growing, if you have a certain scale, you have good unit economics, I think listing can help.
Now I'll come to the startup space as such. There is a new platform, ONDC. Do you see this to be a game changer in e-commerce space?
It is certainly promising, and we keep watching it. And we'll wait and see what happens. But yes, it is potentially something that can level the playing field.
Do you see every player basically coming on to ONDC?
We'll have to wait and watch.
Okay, but how it will change the startup market, sir?
Well, if it does succeed, it will change the product e-commerce landscape substantially.
Coming to the next thing that is doing the rounds in popular debate and discussion is artificial intelligence. Is it going to change entrepreneurship and the business landscape in India?
It is promising too. We are keeping an eye on it. We are experimenting with it ourselves, and we'll see how it unfolds. It is evolving very rapidly, but it is showing promise of being very disruptive.
Do you see AI and specifically ChatGPT taking away jobs? As it is the job market is stressed right now.
In 1985, the then government said we are going to get computers into banks, and there were strikes all over the country. That jobs will be lost. Jobs were not lost. The people just became more productive, right? When the internet happened, people said, businesses will get disintermediated. When not Naukri, people said that placement consultants will be out of business. But that's not true. Our biggest client segment is placement consultants. So companies, people adapt to new technology and they figure it out. So I would hesitate to as yet say that a lot of jobs will be lost. It's possible that people will get more productive.
World Bank has said that India would take 130 years to ensure gender parity in corporate India. What should corporate India do to ensure a more speedy move towards gender parity?
So I think it starts with the talent pipeline into these companies. If in engineering colleges you only have 10 or 15% women, right? Engineering graduates will be 80-85% men. If in the IIMs you have only 20% women, the IIM graduates will be 80% men. I think you need to fix that, and if you fix that over a period of 10-15 years, all the things downstream will get fixed.
So do you think we can get there before 130 years as a World Bank is projecting?
If the engineering colleges and the management schools decide yes, certainly.
Okay, sir. What advice would you give new entrepreneurs who are looking to raise capital from the markets in the present scenario with valuations coming down, profits in a stress, funding winter?
I will say what I have always said, which is that the customer's money is better than the investor's money. So if you're getting the customer's money, the investor's money will almost certainly follow, because investors love to invest behind companies that are getting the customer's money. So focus on getting the customer's money, which is focus on making sales happen.
Last question, and you can elaborate. Where do you see the tech startup space in India going from here? They have seen a stress. The profitability has been in question. Valuations are now going down. Where do you see it going from here, and what advice would you give to any startup?
Well, some will die, some will succeed, some will consolidate, right? But that's a part of the startup ecosystem. Startups are, the entrepreneurial ecosystem is Darwinian in nature. It's survival of the fittest. Not everybody makes it, and that's life. But I see more and more entrepreneurs trying. So I see that in medium term, long term, it will only thrive. But yes, some will fail.
All the startups that you were a part of, whether it's Naukri, InfoEdge, which is has basically seen steady profits over the years. How different was your approach from the approach what you see of other startups?
We had very little money. When you have very little money, you have to make a profit to survive. So I think a little scarcity of capital is actually quite good.
Download now